Welcome back, folks. This is something awesome. I'm zettovyker. Let's play Katawa Shoujo Act 2, Hanako's Castling. Here we go. I had a bad recording session last time, so we didn't end up recording up this whole segment, but this is where we're going to head off. Muto reads his equations and formulas to us one by one, in his usual unenthusiastic monotone, directly from the book. It's possible that he might be excited about what he teaches us. Sometimes he can be displaying an awkward spark of passion for it, as if he's starting to get into the material. Most days, however, are like this one. What we're covering is fairly simple, so I find it increasingly difficult to keep my concentration on him. It's not too long until my legs begin aching again, which only makes it even harder. I'm almost starting to regret walking around the city yesterday with Lily. Since leaving the hospital, I've done very little physical exertion. Walking to and from the local corner store hardly counts. And despite Emi's attempts when I first arrived in Yamaku, I've largely given up on the idea of ever returning to my old level of fitness. I have little doubts that is why walking around town for so many hours has made me quite so sore. It's depressing, and it reminds me of one more thing that I can't do since I've had my heart attack. It makes me feel pathetic. No, Ikizawa! Boom! It's odd for Muto to ask Hanako a question, but not so unheard of. She quickly jumps to her feet, a little startled, and immediately pins her eyes onto him. She knows that Muto calling her is rare, so all eyes in the classroom are going to be on her. This way, she doesn't run the risk of making eye contact with anyone else. Yes? In this particular example of redox reaction, the combustion of methane reaction actually produces one more product than is listed. The product is heat. I'm a genius. Even though it's a softball question, that's really complicated. I didn't really know that. I only knew it because I played through this once. The recording was bad. She timidly waits a little bit before answering, biting down slightly on her lower lip as if to keep her concentration. Heat? Well done. This is an exothermic reaction, and the reaction giving more heat than is put into it. Receiving a nod from Muto, Hanako takes her seat once again and gives a relieved sigh. A shaky start, but it's something. It's nice it'll be nice to take her out for her birthday somewhere different than the usual isolation of her room and the tea room. With the progress she's made until now, I don't think she'll have much of a problem going to the city. Right then, for the remainder of the class, I'd like you to work in groups of 3 or 4 on the problems in Chapter 12. I'll be here if you need me. Muto sits down on his desk, pulls some loose sheets out of the folder, and starts on some kind of paperwork on his own. I thought teachers were supposed to do that kind of thing after class, not during it. Regardless, I look to my right and pick up someone to form a group with. Given the 2 smiling faces hovering near mine, I don't think I get much say in the matter. I suppose we have a group, then. Hey, Chan, you want to work together? Okay, that's great. It's really been a while. The class begins with the process of noisily shuffling the desk room, with Shizune doing the same as she puts her desk in front of mine. She's a little lucky not to be able to hear the din of the classroom, which is loud enough to cause some discomfort. That's it. Truth be told, working with Shizune and Misha are probably a good outcome. Shizune and I are pretty good at the subject, and Misha has really nice handwriting. Yeah, we'll go with that. Oni! I'm just kidding. That was really me. As I look to Misha, I notice a tall figure behind her. The shadow catches Misha's attention as well, and she turns to face a dark-haired observer. Hanako! Good afternoon, Hanako! Hello? Shizune finally notices Hanako, after looking up and following the gazes of Misha and I. In quick measure, she taps Misha on the shoulder to get her attention before signing away. Sign. She's happy. Shit-chan says if you're looking for a group, you can join ours. Hanako looks down and blushes a little at the offer. Aww. Out of all the people in the class, Hanako is most familiar with the 3 of us, so it's reasonable that she'd come to us first. Then again, her actually coming up to the group with the intention of joining them is something she's apparently very rarely did before. She leaves briefly to drag her desk over, and Shizune and Misha wheel back at me as soon as her back is turned. Sign. I guess we get to play again, Hit-chan. You hardly ever get to play games with us anymore. I wonder why. You 2 always seem to have some ulterior motive. Shizune face. That hurt, Hit-chan, and I don't think you were insulting me. But it's Hit-chan, so I know you're joking. Such a great sense of humor about it. It'd be awful if someone were to take advantage of your good nature, like making you help them with their work. Shizune smiles. Shizune seems excited for a second, a little surprised that I'm willing to challenge her. But when she sees Hanako coming back, she backs off with a smile. I guess the mind games are over early today. Hanako gently sets down her desk in front of Misha's. Her eyes are locked downwards, and I'm left wondering why until I look around the class. Most are busy setting up their own groups, but a few are casting curious glances at her. At this range, it's hard to tell whether that it's where their interest in her ends, or if they're talking about her as well. It's strange. No one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs out of class to avoid group work, but now that she's making an effort, they're staring at her as if she's done something wrong. We all move to sort ourselves out, spreading our textbooks and worksheets around the larger surface created by the 4 joined desks. It is alarming for the classes as a whole gets down to work. Let's get down to business. Hi, Hanako. It's nice to finally work with you. Yeah. Shizune smile. Are you the reason Hit-chan has been avoiding us lately? Shit-chan says this has been a little rude, but if Hit-chan wanted to spend time with a cute girl, it's understandable. I don't think it was like that. Hanako starts to fidget, unused to this kind of attention. I think that an ordinary person would drop the conversation by now, but Misha is the antithesis of Hanako. Part of that includes being blind to ordinary social cues, while Hanako is overly sensitive to them. Because of that, Misha barrels ahead with the questions, too quickly for me to get a chance to interject and guide the discussion somewhere more comfortable. Really? So he wasn't hanging out with you yesterday? No. I can feel my cover being blown already. Lily didn't want Hanako to know that we were out buying presents for her, let alone planning out her birthday party. It would be good for her to find out. Yeah, I was, doing something else. You know how it is. Hey! She's in face. Really? I wonder what is so important for Hit-chan to blow us off like that. If it wasn't time to spend time with Hanako, then what could it be? It's really interesting. Now, this is starting to feel like an interrogation. I'm surprised at how Misha is able to exert such a feeling of pressure without actually intending to do so. What? Were you with Lily? I don't know where Hanako manages to stumble on the answer. She may be dreadfully quiet and shy, but she's really intuitive. What makes you say that? Yesterday, Lily said something similar. She's doing face. Suspicious, Hit-chan. I demand you explain yourself. Hey, shouldn't we be doing this assignment? But it's so mysterious. Even Hanako wants to know. I tend to look at Hanako. It's true. From the expression on her face, it's obvious that she wants to know as well. I think we're past the point where we could reason out of having to provide an explanation. I apologize to Lily in my mind. She really did want to keep it a secret, but it now doesn't seem possible anymore. I feel a rush of conflicting emotions, so jumbled that I can't readily identify them. But they crash around in my head as I try to calm down and speak. Alright, I'll tell you. I went to talk with Lily, but it wasn't what you would think. Lily and I were, for Hanako's birthday, we were... The cat's out of the bag, but it looks like Hanako is taking it a little better than I thought she would. A brief silence passes around our little group, as Shizune and Misha look at each other sheepishly. I can tell that they didn't expect the game to turn out like this. Misha looks up at Hanako in order to apologize, then pauses. Hanako is staring at the middle of her desk and is barely moving, a maudlin expression on her face. I guess I was wrong about her taking it well. Hanako, I'm sorry. I'm gonna sigh. There was a few seconds pause, but Hanako lifts and shakes her head. It's okay. Her expression looks odd, and she's very tired. That doesn't seem natural, but it's nothing alarming. Nobody really wants to continue the current conversation, so while we open our textbooks and begin our group work. This is pretty dull. While the creations we were supposed to work out as a group will take a while, most of it is going to be boringly mechanical. It doesn't help that while that didn't go as bad as it could have, it left an awkward atmosphere around us. Still, we manage. Shizune's face betrays that she has about the same expectations for our work as I do, and the two of us begin to write our group's results. Misha, on the other hand, is scratching up her lip and very visibly trying to make heads or tails of what we're doing. Hanako is quietly absorbing what we write and what I say. She usually has the same expression when a teacher speaks. It's a shame her attendance is so unreliable. With the way she takes in information, I think she'd do quite well in class. If she actually followed the lessons regularly, I wonder if might be why she seems so hard on her. Hey, Hanako, do you understand this? Misha looks at Hanako, but I suspect her hope is more to find a comrade in ignorance rather than in genuine help. I'm not really, I guess. I'm surprised by how tense she is in answering, but she settles back down. She breathes out, and the way her upper body and her head lower reminds me of a deflating balloon. You okay? I could go over this a bit if you want. Hanako shakes her head slightly, but then again, I don't think she needs the extra explanation despite what she said. Misha quickly interjects, entirely oblivious, and I end up slowly going through how we ended up at one of our results, step by step. Times like this remind me of this kind of work that may not be mechanical for everyone, but rather feels that way to me due to my grasp on the subject. It's a satisfying feeling. As Misha brings her bald fist into an open-handed realization, I discover another nice feeling. My explanation got through to her, and she manages to work out the next equation by herself with a minimum of guidance. Throughout all this, Hanako is unusually unresponsive. She's normally very quiet, but one can still see her eye roving periodically over the landscape of the classroom in front of her, or anxiously moving her hands in some way, or shifting her shoulders periodically. Right now, all these smooth movements that I've gotten used to seeing are all missing. Someone not moving is at all is definitely weird. Even Misha can tell there's something wrong. Hanako, are you sure you're okay? Yes. Are you sure? I'm fine. A little more strongly this time, but she turns away as she says it. It only makes me doubt her answer. Yet, at the same time, I can tell she doesn't want to talk about it further. Having already one very awkward conversation today, I'm still not fully over. I don't want to pursue the matter too much either. We settle back into our routine, debating over our answers whenever a doubt comes up. But as time goes on, I notice Hanako isn't talking at all. It's frustrating. She had made so much progress. It makes me a little angry that Shizune and Misha for undoing the surprise Lily had wanted to keep secret so much. I know I'm my fault, too. Maybe I could have kept it under wraps somehow. Shizune had noticed Hanako's silence as well, and it's also getting antsy. I can see it on her face. It's strange that even though she's deaf, Shizune also perceives Hanako's unusual quietness sooner than Misha. Shizune face. Hanako, you're being too quiet. You have to contribute too. Someday we might work on a bigger project like this one. That's so big, it's worth celebrating afterwards. Like with ice cream or cake. And if you act like this, we won't take you along. I can't tell if they're trying to tease her to bring her out of her shell, but I don't think that kind of approach will work on Hanako. It will just make her feel worse. Guys, don't tease her like that. Shizune face. Hey Chan, it's all in good fun. Chit-chan says she teases everyone anyway. They do back off though, with Misha moving away from the issue by asking me a question again. On seeing how difficult the problem she was working on is, I don't know if it was whether it was a skillful dodge or something oblivious, whatever. It takes way more of our time than necessary because Shizune keeps disagreeing with me while I'm trying to explain it to Misha, and Misha is quick to believe her over me. So quick, in fact, that she forgets to translate what Shizune is saying. Hey, the clock is kind of ticking down. We should speed up a little. Hey, Chan, you sound like a little shit-chan there. Just because I want to look at my watch? Jeez, is that really all it takes? Time management, and suddenly I'm the student council president? I look at Hanako's desk to see how she's doing, and freeze. Our papers are covered in an equation, but Hanako is only halfway there. It seems like she hasn't written anything in the past 20 minutes. When I realize that, I want to kick myself for how dumb I've been. I should have known that someone as fragile as Hanako wasn't going to brush off what happened so easily. But I have been too eager to move on from an awkward situation to notice. She's been slowly shutting down for the last half hour, and I had no clue. Her pen is still in her hand, but she doesn't slowly spin it around like she usually does. There isn't a single item movement from Hanako. Only the fact that she tries to inch away once she feels Shizune and Misha looking at her tells me that she's even still conscious. We look away, and at least in my case, it's partly out of shame that has gotten to this point. Though on the outside, she is shut down almost completely, I know it's a different story on the inside. What kind of things could she be thinking about as she tries harder and harder to shrink into herself? As by willing she could somehow disappear. Everyone is looking at her now, stealing quick glances in between putting and finishing touches on their work. Misha attempts to ask her what's wrong, but that only makes the problem worse. If she wasn't frozen in her seat, she could probably run out of the room right now. Oh no, Hanako. Misha's questions are loud enough to be heard throughout the entire classroom, and for a second, I'm ready to snap at her, because I can only imagine how much worse it's making Hanako feel. Of course, if I were to do that, it would only make the situation worse. I believe that Hanako had gotten stronger, and she has, but it wasn't enough, and I was too eager to believe it. Now, she's terrified, alone in the middle of the classroom, and there's nothing I can do without drawing more attention to her. It's infuriating! Misha's worrying, and even Shizuna's biting her lip. None of us know how to deal with the situation, so I decided to call Muto. His judgment would probably be better than ours. I look up and manage to catch his eye, silently motioning for him to come over. I want to make as little a fuss as possible about this as possible, since there's anything that would make this worse. It's more attention being focused on her. I know that Hanako can see everyone staring at our group, specifically at her, because they know that if there's a problem, it has to be her. Everyone knows her, and it's the first thing anyone's mind would leap to. Her reputation for being a truant has marked her as an unusual person, even in unusual Yamako. Who knows how many times they've stared at her before. Maybe it's because she's seen the class staring at her so much that she fears their gazes like she does Kawe from them. The time it takes Muto to walk over must be like an eternity to Hanako, and she looks as though she's about to fall over. Muto quietly begins to ask us what's wrong, before catching herself as he sees Hanako. Did we upset her? Don't worry. Muto bends down after calling Misha and looks intently at Hanako's face. Hi, Ikizawa. Can I help you at all? In his hushed and gentle. His voice is hushed and gentle. Everyone's acting so differently around Hanako now that the whole class has noticed something wrong with her. Hanako doesn't respond, so Muto gently rests a hand on her shoulder. Whoa! She starts shaking at his touch. She won't even look up. Hanako continues to stare into the equations at her desk, vision so unfocused that I thought she even sees them. She's worse than before. I remembered that not even an hour ago she was able to talk to him almost normally. Muto grimaces a bit as he stands again, but now that his expression changed, I can see that he wasn't exactly unaffected by what happened either. He takes a breath to settle himself before speaking in a very quiet voice. I'm a little impressed at how quickly he takes control of the situation. Is that it? Nothing's wrong, then? Muto seems to say that to no one in particular. However, his word sounds convincing enough that most of the people who are looking over at Hanako now turn away, getting back to their work. He gives a quick glance to his left and right. Several people at the desk around us are still staring cautiously, but other than that, we seem to have escaped attracting too much attention. Muto notices me doing the same as he smiles a little, in his usual stilted way. I think, for Ikazawa's sake, it would be good to quickly take her somewhere away from others. Nakai, Hakamichi, could you please take Ikizawa out of the classroom? I'll keep everyone settled, so please, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything but her, okay? Okay. He looks at Misha and tells her to interpret his words for Shijun, but she's already finished her translation by the time he does so. It's remarkable how little thought she needs to sign, as she still looks quite dazed otherwise. Nodding, Shizune and I stand to move out either side of Hanako. Muto steps. Whoa! I'm not accepting this call. Sorry. Muto steps back to allow us room and talks to the table behind us as some people there have begun to mutter between themselves about what's going on. We look at each other before lowering ourselves in unison, taking one arm around each of our shoulders and lifting. The two of us begin to walk at a slow pace to make sure we don't inadvertently hurt her. As much as we try to make this look normal, I'm quite sure there'll be many more gazes on us, if not for Muto's distraction. Eventually, thankfully, we reach the door and go out. Nobody's outside, so we walk down the hallway. It doesn't seem like it's making her more at ease than she was in the classroom. Finally, I ask if she just wants to sit down. For a while, we simply stay in place and wait for her to say something. Shizune tentatively rubs Hanako's shoulders a little, but there's no response. Eventually, she shakes her head a little when Shizune tries again. Both of us are looking at her, so we pick up on it immediately. Shizune's hand comes to rest on Hanako's shoulder as she awakens, her face lifting to two very worried and anxious people looking at her. She looks at us silently for a while. I'm initially worried she might freak out or do something extreme, but those fears prove unwarranted as her expression slowly changes from an almost lifeless blank slate to a more withdrawn shyness. She wordlessly lowers her head, her eyes are evasively moving to the side. She looks embarrassed, almost ashamed. I want to say something, anything to help, but I can't. Though, I don't really know what just happened or even what caused it. I feel helpless and ashamed of myself for not being of any use. Shizune's eyes are free even before looking at me. Even without words, I can tell what she's asking. I'll take Hanako to the nurse. Is that okay by you? I try to communicate my intentions through hand gestures, but I don't feel like I managed to get through to her very well. Shizune makes a dreary face in response to my gesticulations, confirming my impression. She stabs her finger in the air decisively, first at me, then at Hanako, and then towards the stairs. She waits for me to nod before pointing at herself and then pointing at the door to the classroom. I get the feeling Shizune is much better at this than I am. I nod at her, since her plan is after all the same as mine. Shizune gets ready to make her exit, but only after she leaves, looking at Hanako for quite some time. Are you okay with me taking you to the nurse's office? Hanako doesn't say anything or nod, but she stands up in place by herself, and when I begin to walk, she obediently follows. I read about people being catatonic, but this is the first time I've been experiencing it in person. She looks extremely tired. After everything that's happened, it's not a surprise. After Hanako silently takes off her shoes and lies in the bed with the infirmary, the nurse and I take our leave. He shuts the curtain behind us. We both take a seat, and I quietly and thoroughly go through everything that happened in quite some detail. I want to understand what happened, and the nurse has to be a good chance as anyone of knowing. He nods throughout my explanation, his face looking troubled as I finish. It must have been very troubling for you to have seen all this. I'd be lying if I wasn't. I get that she fainted, but I don't really understand anything about why it happened, or why she's acting like this. He nods, but his face is clouded. You don't know either, eh? Well, yes and no. It's complicated. I assume you've heard about the concept of patient confidentiality at some point. This is a bit of a minefield in that respect. I'm going to put it pretty bluntly. This is a matter for Ikizawa, me, and her therapist. I move to protest, but think better of it. I want to deny what he says, but if I think this through rationally, what he says makes perfect sense. Sokka, I understand. Good. I wish I could help you more, but I think that Ikazawa needs right now isn't somebody prying into her past or her emotions. She just needs someone to be there for her. She needs a friend. For what it's worth, I think you've done well in bringing her here. Sounds like you and your friends dealt with the situation well, too. I'd give you a lollipop or a sticker as a reward, but I think you might be a little too old for either. He gives a cocky grin, obviously trying his best to lighten the atmosphere. I'm not really in a laughing mood, but he does manage to get a smile out of me. Thanks. Do you mind if I stay here with Hanako? I appreciate the thought, but I think it would be better for her to let her rest for now. She'll be led back to her dormitory room this evening. You could visit her then. I agree with him before standing. It feels like all I can ever do around the nurse is humbly agree to what he says. But it was the same with the doctors in the hospital, too. I walk back to the classroom. The walk back to the classroom is a long one, my mind feeling heavy under the weight of so many things happening so suddenly. Even as I re-enter the classroom, I'm thinking about Hanako. My stomach feels like it's turning into knots while I think about how to deal with her. I still don't know what I'm going to say when I see her again. Thankfully, the class isn't paying much heed. There are a couple of questioning glances, but overall, not many people seem to be very aware of what happened. Muto raises an eyebrow to get my attention when I pass by his desk. Nakai, I take it Ikazawa's in the infirmary now. Yeah, I took her there, and the nurse said I should let her rest. Muto nods, assuring me that I made the right call. He scratches his chin for a second before rising from his desk. Everyone, I want to continue your exercises. Nakai, I'll see you in the hallway, please. Alright folks, we're gonna get out of here. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave your comments below, subscribe if you want to see the rest of the story. And I'll see you guys next time.